Hello, how you doing? And welcome along to Training Tuesday. Slight change to the published agenda today. The marketing got a little bit ahead of things. But you've got me today. What a shame, I'm afraid. So welcome to Training Tuesday. My name is James, coming to you live from Southampton. It is a live session. Anything could happen. But please do talk in the comments as well. Good to see the usual faces along here. Who have we got here? Good to see Joe here. Peter, good to have you from Belgium. Hello to others as well. Your favourite show, someone said. Oh dear, I do apologise. Hello on Facebook as well. We've got Lawrence, we've got Harrison here, Mario, good to have you, and of course Tommy as well, good to have you here as well. Well, good news, we snuck out the door last week our 1.9.8.2 MagicQ beta release. It's been a little while coming. We had a little bit of testing to do on some of the features. I know on 2 weeks ago's Training Tuesday, the last one I did for you guys, I had the 250 here and I was showing you about the new net ports feature. I'll run through that on the console in a moment, but there are some other great new features in 1.9.8.2 beta, and I'm going to run you through those in this very session here today. So without further ado, let's jump into MagicQ here and take a look at my screen. As you can see, I've moved myself into Stadium panel here, and for good reason. In 1.9.8.2, one of the things we've added is support for the time button on the console. All of our Stadium consoles have had this time button for a long time, and it hasn't really done much of use. When in 1.9.8.2 that changes, you can now use the time button to set times within your Q stack. So very simply in this Q stack here, I've got 3 Qs, very simple Qs. I've got green as my Q2, blue as my Q3, and guess what? Red is my Q1. Well, I can now use the time button to enter the times in after the fact to my Qs. I could do that while I'm recording them as well. Absolutely, the time button will work in the same way when you're recording Qs, but let me show you as if I've done it after the effect. So you can see I'm in Q1 at the moment. If I go to Q2, you can see it's got a fade time of 3 seconds on at the moment. Of course, I can modify that in the Q stack. I could change that to say 1 second. Now when I play that Q, it will fade in over 1 second. I may not be in this window. You know, I could be in my different views. I could be, say, in the group position color beam window open like I've got here, but I've selected the playback. I can now use my keypad to enter times in my Qs. The way I do that is use the set button, set, and you can see it typing on my playback here, set, and I press the Q button because I want to set a Q time, and then I specify the Q number, so set Q2 with a time of 5 seconds, enter, and you should see now when I get round to Q2 again, it's now got a 5 second fade time on it. Now you can be more granular if you like. You can specify the attributes, so I could say set Q2 and I can go in and specify the attribute as well. So I could say, okay, color time 5, enter. So I can go and specify the color fade time. It doesn't have to be a global fade time. You can also do things like offsets. So I could say, okay, set Q3 time, and this time I'm going to say 3 star, which 3 star would be a 3 second offset, and if I hit enter on there, it's set that on here, and if I go to that Q, you can see it's done a 3 second offset over those Qs. Now I could do a more complex thing. I could say set Q1 time 4 star minus, enter, and now when I go to Q1, it's got a center out fade on it added. If you want to get rid of a time, you can simply just do a time and enter, effectively doing a time 0, and that will remove the time as well should you want to. Now you can also set the release time. So release time, if I was to select my playback here and press the release key, you can see the lights just snap off. It is possible to type a release time into your Q stack. So a little shortcut for you. If you're in the view options window and you go to activate release, under here, under activate release, you have a release time. So I'm going to set this to the Q stack here to 5 seconds. This means if I do things like a shift release, which is release all playbacks, or I press the release button on the selected playback, it's the time that playback goes off in, the release time. Now a little shortcut for you, if you're in the Q stack window, after your last Q in the Q stack, you'll see it says end and then a time there. That time is showing you your release time. It's actually completely linked to this time here. So without having to go to view options, you could say, okay, well, I want to change that to 2 seconds. And you can see if I go to options, it's updated that number here. So that's the time that I released this Q stack in. So it doesn't matter what queue I might be in, I might be saying Q2 here, I select it, press release, and it now releases over 2 seconds. Well, again, we've supported that with the time button. So if I'm in any window I'm like on the console, as long as I've selected the playback first, if I want to set the release time, don't specify the queue number. So this time I would just say set queue time, let's say 8, enter, and that has now set the release time there to 8 seconds. So it's just little keypad shortcuts, so I can carry on my programming. I don't have to go and open up the QStack window. I don't have to open up, type number in here. I can do things like my offsets very quickly while being in any window on the console using the keypad, left-hand and right-handed programming. Well, what else have we got for you in 1.9.8.2? Some other little things we've done with group queues. So I'm going to turn on group queues, or just check it's on here. In Setup, View Settings, Queue Storage, I've got Prefer Group Queues on. Now, of course, if I go and select, let's go for my pars here, because you can see what, if I go for my pars group here and I locate it, it's got all my pars at the back here, and I'm going to put them on in green. Now, as I'd expect in the programmer, I have Group 9 and Group 9 only with my pars on in green. If I go ahead and go and grab that and record that there as a group. In fact, I'm going to put that into my second queue as well. And now if I go and grab another group, let's say this group here, which is my pars in yellow, and this group here, which is another sub-selection of my pars, and I'm going to put them in red, and that'll do for now. And I'm going to merge that, so I'm going to do a shift, record, merge, and then I'm going to put that into here, and I'm going to put it into my queue stack here, and I'm going to just say the current queue, which would be Q1 because I'm not in a queue at the moment. Now, importantly, what I should have said is when I was recording these queues, if I take a step back and let's just grab something else and locate it. If I record into there, you'll see when I press record now, it now says record GC. It tells me I'm recording a group queue. You guys had asked for, there was a number of requests in our bug tracker to say when I'm recording group queues, can we make it more obvious? Well, there you go. It now says recording group queues. You know you're in group queues mode. So when you record that queue, when you hit the record button, it will tell you you're recording a group queue. Now, I should also mention that even if you're not in group queues mode, so if I come out of group queues mode, I'm going to disabled here, and I go and do some recording, you can see you've got a soft button at the top here for a temp group queue. So I can make it a temp group queue. Well, when I select and locate things, it's putting it in the programmer as groups, even though I'm not in group queues mode. So you have a temp group queues button if you aren't in group queues. But anyway, I digress. Where were we? So I've recorded a couple of queues here. I'm going to put it into queue timing, and let's step through and take a look at this queue stack here. So I've got Q1, which is looking like a bit of a fruit salad here with different colors in. Q2, which they all go green, and Q3, which is these lights. Now, you can see from here, I'm seeing a bit of a fruit salad, but if I go and look at Q1 here, you can see it has 3 lots of groups inside there. It has group 2, it's my all pars, it takes the group name here, and it has group 3, so group 12 and group 7 with some other information. And now you notice clearly there's some sort of priority of group queues because the all pars group is set the lights to green, but actually I've got some in yellow and red. So how does it work out the priority? Well, you have priority in group queues, and you can now use the move function in the queue window here to move things around. So I could say actually we'll move group 2 there, and I can then say move group 7 there, and I can reorder things, and you can see that's actually changed the output. It's doing it live of what's going on. So the last group we can see in our window here is actually the one with the highest priority. So I've now put the all pars group at the bottom, which is telling them to be in green. So that takes priority. So if you have heads that are in multiple groups in the same queue, the last group within the queue has priority. And again, the moving ability to move is something new in 1.9.8.2. So if I said move group 2 up here now, you can see group 7 and 12 have a priority over group 2. And if I was to move group 2 there and put it in the middle, you can see group 12 has a higher priority, so I see the yellow on top of the green, but the red has a lower priority than the green, so I'm not seeing that there. So group queues priority when you've got multiple heads in multiple groups in the same queue, That's something we support better now in 1.9.8.2. Talking of head control, a couple of things. One other thing to mention: multi-elements. Now this has come up a good number of times there. What do I do about stepping through elements on battens and things? So what have I got in this show file that I can show you? Probably the Nexus panels at the back of this grid here. So I've got some multi-element panels at the back here. If I just turn off my beams so you're not seeing them draw into the camera, there we go. So I'm going to go to my layout one. I'm going to go and grab my Nexus panels like so and locate them. On they come. And if I go and put them in red, now normally when I press next and previous head here, over there if you're on the standard compact panel, but if I press next or previous head, so let's press it once, it will put me into single mode. And if I go and select one, next, 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 you can see it's doing it by panel, next, etc. there. So you can see by panel it's going through and stepping through. What we've now added in 1.9.8.2 is the ability for you to use next and previous head to sub-select through elements. This has been really popular or really requested for things like, particularly things like with multiple tilts on or pans on them. So things like the Acme Tornadoes, where you've got essentially a bar which has got 5 heads on it, the ability for me to step through the heads on that bar. So what you can now do in 1.9.8.2 is you can use Shift and next previous head. So I could go Shift and then I can say next head and turn Shift off. And when I do that, I can now next head through elements. So if I go, there you go, this head here, you can see it's gone magenta, next, next, next. Let's go yellow. You can see just about there. I'm now on that element there. If I go next, next, next again, and set that one to white, you can see that element there. So I can use Shift and next and previous head to step through elements of a head. Now if I keep going onwards and go past 25, you can see it getting steps onto the next head. So if I go and set it onto blue, you can see I step through onto the next head. If you keep clicking through, so if you have a whole load of say tornadoes in a line, you can keep stepping through them as if they're individual heads now. And you can see there, if I set onto yellow there, I'm now on this head here. So Shift and next head, or Shift and previous head, will enter you into selecting by elements rather than heads. So if you're controlling those sort of things, it makes life much easier there. Talking cues, so I recorded a couple of cues here. A small change that you guys had requested from us is MagicQ, ever since the dawn of time, has supported up to 5,000 cues. So if I go to Setup, View System, View Status, and go to Show Data, well, we supported 5,000 cues in 2,000 cue stacks. Well, you guys, particularly on installs or in clubs, have been hitting that limit. Yes, often you can clean up old queues, but actually we now have shows up to 400 universes, very queue heavy shows. So in 1.9.8.2, that number has been doubled. We now support 10,000 queues inside any show file, so double the number of queues inside of your show. Okay, what else have I got to show you in 1.9.8.2? Well, 1.9.8.2 audio timeline. Let me go and just resize my viz here. In fact, what I might do is change my panel back to the usual full panel because it's just going to give me a bigger view of my screen in the middle here. It puts the viz in a bit of a nicer place. So let me zoom back out of my viz window here. Let's clear my programmer so the panels go off, and let's bring that down here. So audio timeline, if I go to page 2, and here's one I made earlier, I should have a timeline created. So if I go to the editor window, for those who just watched me click very quickly there, I was in layout 1 here. I went to my timeline window over here, and I went to the view editor, and I've already preset this up in this show. So this cue stack here is set into Q timing in timecode timing mode. So I've already set my halt field here to TC, to timecode, and I've dropped on an audio file into this stack already that you can see here. We support WAVs or MP3s, etc. So now when I go to the timeline window, it renders out the waveform, I see my cues below, and I can drag and drop. If you've not seen the timeline before, do check out our videos on the timeline. There's a whole bunch of them here on YouTube, Facebook, etc. You'll find them linked on the website as well. Audio timeline. But something we've added in 1.9.8.2 is with markers, we support beat grids. So normally within our cue stack, I can generate a beat grid, so I could set my BPM range. So I need to know the range of the BPM for my track. I can hit generate. it will then analyze the audio file and it will drop an automatic beat grid on. Now it averages, so if the BPM's changing in your track, it will generate a beat grid, beats and bars, as you can see here. On my timeline, it generates it for the track, but sometimes you want to be able to create a manual beat grid. So now I can toggle at the top here to manual beat grid mode, and I can set a start and an end point. So I can set my start point and an end point, and I can define my BPM myself, and I can say insert there. Then I can go and take my end point and my start point. I can leave a gap and say now I want a BPM of that, insert there, and I can create my own custom beat grids and drop them into the timeline window. You can chop and change between the two, so I can go back to auto beat grid or go back to my manual beat grid by just pressing the soft button at the top of the window. So that's now in 8.2 and released. For those who watched Training Tuesday 2 weeks ago, you remember that I showed you if I go to Setup, DMX.io, and I go to Net Manager, there is a View Net Ports window here. I'm on a PC system, so we only support 2 interfaces, a primary and a secondary on PC. But you can now, on all current ChamSys consoles, so that is the MQ70, not the MQ50 because it only has one network port on it, but yes, you can open the window on a 50 if you like. The MQ70, the MQ250, the MQ500M, and the 500M Plus. So even if you don't have an MQ500M Plus, 500M users, you can go into this Setup DMX.io window, go to the View Net Ports window, and you can now individually configure the network ports on your consoles. As I say, I covered this 2 weeks ago in Training Tuesday and gave you a bit of a preview, but it's now possible to do things like have universes 1 to 10 come out of port 1, universes 11 to 20 come out of port 2 on the console. It's done by zoning, but as you can see here in my window in View Net Ports, I can go and set different IP addresses per each adapter, and I can set which zone comes out of each port. If you're not familiar with zones, in the Setup DMX.io window, you set universe zones here. So I could say, okay, these ones, you can see actually I've done some of this already. These universes here on zone 2, back on zone 1, these ones, so it doesn't need to be sequential at all. And it can mix. I could have some ArtNet, some Streamy ACN. And now in View Ports here, I can choose and say, okay, well, port 2 is zone 2, port 3 is zone 3 with its own IP address and subnet, and I can even choose the different protocols that are supported by each port. So that's a major new thing in our 1.9.8.2 release. While I'm talking universes, if I go to my out type here and I set to ArtNet, now in MagicQ we support up to 400 universes direct from a console. From our 500M Plus console do 400 universes. MagicQ on PC, like I've got here, does 64 universes direct from the PC software, fully supported for output. Now, ArtNet is a broadcast protocol. We do support things like ArtNet v4. So if I go to settings here and I go to my network settings, you can see my ArtNet mode here. ArtNet type is set to normal at the moment, which is normal transmit ArtNet protocol v3, which means we'll just broadcast. Now we do support ArtNet v4, which is either unicast or unicast only. That's our interpretation there. v4 is allowing me to unicast. Now, when I go to unicast only with strictly unicast, it will talk to your nodes. Nodes will tell it back which universes it needs very simply, and we unicast. We send the data from MagicQ to those nodes only and the relevant universes. So I'd only be sending the relevant universes to specific nodes. Massively reduces our network traffic down. The option here, which is v4 unicast, is a bit of a get out of jail. We still broadcast everyone on the network once a second. So if you've got a node not responding or something, it gives us a bit of a get out of jail. But anyway, why am I saying this? Well, now if you enable in MagicQ more than 30 universes in one go, so if I come here and I enable more than 30 universes, it will automatically give me the option to change to v4 mode. And I can say yes here, and it changes to ArtNet v4, which you can see at the top here. And in fact, we try and be clever as well. If it doesn't see any devices, it will actually try and broadcast that. So if it doesn't see a node, maybe your nodes only support ArtNet v3. Most all nodes these days do support ArtNet v4, but maybe you're buying your not genetics nodes or nodes not from the main manufacturers, your Asian special nodes, that don't support ArtNet v4, well, this is what you might see here, okay? But if your nodes are supporting ArtNet v4, well, now it should be unicasting as soon as you enable over 30 universes. Also in 1.9.8.2, I haven't got one to show you here, but GDTF has been updated. So GDTF, we now support an MVR import, support the latest version 1.6, have a proper DIN spec for GDTF MVR is in for MagicQ. We have got a couple other changes just to talk about quickly. In QStack, so if I go back to my QStack here, I created earlier, my spot queues. If I go to view options at the top here, so triple press or go to view options, ignore masters. Used to just be one option, ignore masters yes or no. We've now split that into 3. So it used to just be one option called ignore masters yes no, and that would be things like size masters, speed masters, or also when I do things like activating releasing, so things like a shift release or the grandmaster, ignore masters. So we now split that out for you, so you could say, okay, well, ignore the activate release masters but still listen to speed and size masters, or ignore size and speed but just listen to speed, intensity and size but just listen to speed masters. So you have now a bit more granular control of speed masters. Just taking a look in the chat, so I've been ignoring you on there. What's been going on? Well, on Facebook you've been very quiet, but YouTube, we've got a couple of questions come in. I think someone from Germany joining us. Victor, good to hear you've got your Magic DMX full. Peter, you asked, how can we select odd, even elements or fan on an element? Good question. I will come back to that one if that's all right with you. It is possible to do, but I will come back on that one. It may be a next week one. I won't forget that one. And looks like on Facebook, Mario's enjoying the new features. Good to hear. So a couple more things before we finish for today. Speed masters, while we're talking ignoring masters here, we have listened to you. We support multiple different speed masters, 100 speed masters we support. If I go to my playback window, and you can see here I've got lots of speed masters. I don't know why, Tyler, you're separated from everyone else, but you are on the list. Look at that, we've got different speed masters with names, and that's the thing. Speed masters, we support 100 speed masters, and up until now we've not been able to name them. Well, in 1.9.8.2 we've added a new field, so you can actually now name your masters. Okay, you're not likely to give them someone's name, but here's all the ChamSys support, or some of the, not all of them, some of the ChamSys product or support team from around the world, but a few of the names of the ChamSys team here. And you can see I've used those as names. I can add a name here and put Luke in here as well. Look at that. So I can add names of for masters, or actually more likely I'm going to call this, okay, spots, washes, or it might be things like, okay, this is going to be my dimmer speed master, this is going to be my color one or something. So I can now name the masters, so I don't have to remember that I used Speedmaster 5 or whatever, etc. there. You now have the ability to name your masters. Final thing just to say, execute window. Execute window, we've covered many times in our Training Tuesdays. In 1.9.8.2 we added a new assign special function. If I go somewhere with a bit of space, assign special, we've added a net port status or net status options, which allow me to have a view of the status of my network port. So if someone accidentally unplugs a cable, okay, so the primary network port, is it active, is it not, etc. Assign special, and then I can go net status, ArtNet status, and I can select nodes here. So we support obviously seeing the ArtNet node, so I can pick a specific node. So if I had a GN10 connected, I can ID that and I can pick it up here, and it will show me if that node is online or not, or number of ArtNet as well I can have here. Well, there's nothing to show me because I'm not actually outputting any at the moment because I don't have any nodes, and I went to v4, so I can go num ArtNet, and I can normally put that in and it would show me something if I had something to show you there. And this would then act as a status to show me if that port or those nodes are active or online. So in my execute window, a bit of peace of mind. In fact, we had that specifically requested from a user where everything worked fine for the support act. Someone then unplugged the network cable or turned off the rack on stage, you have no idea normally from the console. You'd hope your dimmer tech's on it, but maybe it's a show where you haven't got one, where you can have that view in the execute window, which just gives you that peace of mind. Can it still see 5 nodes on the network? Is that node still there? So that's now an assigned special function for you to see that in your execute window. It's only a view. You can't change the settings or anything, but it's just a reassuring view so you can see that information there. So there you go. There are other changes in 1.9.8.2, but this is some of the key changes in 1.9.8.2. Hopefully that's been a useful session for you. As always, it's a live session, but we do monitor the chat afterwards, both on Facebook and YouTube. Chip or Brett and some of the others are normally hanging around in the chat as well. So if you are watching this in a couple of weeks' time and you've got some questions, please chuck it in the chat. We'd love to hear from you. Also, we'd love to hear how you're getting on and using the software as well. So please do, as always, let us know how you're getting on with new features. We'd love it when you tag us on social media, etc. Or if you have any further questions, etc. Of course, you can ask them online, but you can contact our support team, support@chamsys.co.uk. They'd love to hear from you. We'd love to hear your feedback on particular new features. So that's been Training Tuesday for today. We'll look forward to seeing you next week on Tuesday for another Training Tuesday.